Guardians of the Whills was released last week, so I think it's about time I went through all the new facts we learned thanks to the book. Spoilers for the story are incoming. We learn a little more about the Guardians of the Whills as an organization, which makes sense considering the title of the book. Their home was the Temple of the Khyber, which we knew, but there were other members of their belief system known as the Disciples of the Whills. Turret describes the Disciples as being better at listening to and understanding the will of the Force, while the Guardians could better sense it. The Disciples and the Guardians believed that both the light and dark sides of the Force were valuable. For the light to exist, there must be dark. For the Force, there must be balance. Speaking of Turret, he himself confirms that he is not a Force user, but more a Force feeler. Sometimes it was an effortless practice, and sometimes it was very difficult for him. In his best moments, he felt that he was nearly able to see. Aiding him was an echo box that he wore on his waist. This device would gather data of his surroundings and provide him with feedback that would help him visualize his environment. He claims to have not accidentally walked into a wall in 20 years. A ton of other belief systems in the Force are mentioned. Some of them we were introduced to in Rogue One or the Rogue One visual guide, but the list of those mentioned here include the Unahaka, the Sisters of Sorav, the Central Isopter, the Clan of the Toraboda, and the Brotherhood of the Beatific Countenance. A few more are mentioned, and I'm not sure if they're names of people, locations, languages, texts, or organizations, but they are Coxixian, Muriel, Kotsisajak, Jajanis IV, and the Ascendant of Mao. Along with these Force-based faiths, places of worship besides the Temple of Khyber were mentioned, including the Dome of Deliverance, the Waiting of Night, the First and Second Spires, the Blessing Way, the Square of Stars, and the Emitter of Constant Hope. Baze stole his heavy repeater cannon from the Empire. It was originally meant to be mounted on the ground and used for crowd control. When Saw Gerrera's partisans come to Jeddah, Baze is reminded of hearing a garbled transmission of hope from Lothal. This is a reference to Ezra's broadcast near the end of the first season of Star Wars Rebels. ATDP walkers, also seen in Rebels, once roamed the streets of Jeddah City. When Saw Gerrera's uprising began, the Empire brought in more fighting power, which included the ATSTs seen in Rogue One. Baze and Turret worked with Saw Gerrera's group before the events of Rogue One. In the book, they're approached by Beezer Fortuna, who brings them to Saw. Baze enthusiastically works with them and shows them all the back alleys and shortcuts through the city. The SIF Code is now canon again. It's been mentioned in bits and pieces in other content, but this is the first time it's been written out in its entirety since the new canon began. And finally, we learned something I get asked all the time. How did that X-Wing wind up crashed in Jeddah City? There's really not much to that story. When the Star Destroyer came in close to the city, Saw's partisans attacked with a measly 3 X-Wings. One of them was simply shot down and crashed in the city. That's everything I caught in Guardians of the Whills. It was a fairly short read, so there isn't a ton, but it was a good time. If you guys had any connections or Easter eggs that I didn't see, please put them in the comments below. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to see new Star Wars videos every single day, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.